everyone to another episode of Mumbles. Today, we'll be doing a game review. And the game that we will be reviewing today is the newly released game, Flying Tigers, Shadows over China. Now, I'll be reviewing this game today on Xbox One. And just so everyone knows, if you would like to purchase this game on Xbox One, you can do so for about $18.99 at the time of this review. So what is Flying Tigers, Shadows over China? Well, if any of you know your history, you know that there was once a flying squadron in World War II called the Flying Tigers. Now this game doesn't exactly follow their exploits, but it is the same thing. This is a flying game. This is a game in which the ultimate goal is to stay airborne and achieve the objective. Now how do you do this? There's a multitude of ways to do this. There's all different kinds of gameplay in this game. You can do bombing runs, you can do regular straight up dogfight, you can do escort missions, you can do all kinds of different things in this game, but the one central theme in this game is flying. So is this good or bad? Does it have a good or bad story? Let's find out. First off, the graphics. I gotta admit, I was a little disappointed in these graphics. I thought they could have done a little bit more with them. You know, we have the technology today to make things really crisp and clean. And while things are, for the most part, bearable, they're not that first-rate graphics that I've come to love and expect from games these days. So graphics, a little bit of a mark off there. Nothing horrible, but I just wish there would have been a little bit better graphics. Now the soundtrack. The soundtrack in this game is okay. Again, there's nothing really fantastic about it. There's nothing really horrible about it. It's just an overall solid soundtrack. It is what it is. You'll probably hear the soundtrack playing in the background right now, but it's just a nice little solid kind of, you know, that kind of epic World War II music that we've all come to know and love. That's kind of the music that you're getting in this game. Now the controls. The controls in this game are where we're gonna do a lot of emphasis on talking. The controls aren't the greatest in the world. I was a little disappointed. I think they could have been a little bit more on point, giving the player a couple more, you know, options as to how to do things and how to fly things and that kind of stuff. The maneuverability of the planes could have been a little bit better. I'll get into that more later. But overall, the controls are solid, but they're just not, I don't know, they're just not as good as I had hoped that they would be. Now let's get into the gameplay. Now, as I've said, this game is all about flying. Whether it's bombing runs, whether it is dogfights, whether it is whatever kind of mission you're doing, this game is about flying, so you have to be able to fly. Now, to this aid, you can fly different kinds of planes, you have different kinds of missions where you're doing different kinds of things, but overall the gameplay kind of stays static, and by that I mean it's one central theme through the entire game. You're either doing dogfights or bombing or protecting something. It never really veers off from that, you know. It's not like one time you're like, oh, this time you have to go and, you know, defend this base while it's being attacked or give these people air support. Not really that kind of a game so much. Now, story-wise in this game, I have to stop and pause for a minute and say, you know, there's been some great World War II stories and great games built on World War II stories. Take Sniper Elite, for example. They basically built their own story using different battles in the World War II, and I felt like Flying Tigers didn't really live up to that hype. I just felt like they could have done a better job drawing you into the characters, making you care about the characters. Maybe put one central pilot in there and have you care about them. But really, in reality, it's just flying these missions, go do this and get done. And it's like, they kind of forgot, oh crap, this can have a story in it too, which is a little disappointing. So we talked about the gameplay and the actual story itself. Now we're going to talk about the cons, and I've already touched on a few. First off, the story. I'm not going to go into depth on that. You've already heard my spiel on the story. But I am going to go in a little bit more in depth about the controls. The controls in this game just kind of disappointed me. I felt like they could have made them a little bit more responsive. It is hard to aim at another plane when it's in air, and they did put this cool slow motion type thing, but I felt like that was kind of an aftersight, like, oh, people aren't going to be able to hit these targets without our help, so we have to put in this slow motion thing. I don't mean to keep bashing on this game because it's a good game, but I felt like the controls just needed to be sharper. They needed more practice. They needed to be on point with when you move one place, they go there. I've played some fantastic plane games in my day, and usually the controls are very responsive. These are the kind of games that, you know, oh, there's a mountain there, you have to be able to swerve out of the way. This game doesn't really allow that as much, and that was just kind of a disappointment for me. Now the other con that I want to point to is this game is rather repetitive. As I said, because there's no story, it's just finishing the missions. You can only bomb something, shoot at something, get in a dogfight so many times before you're like, yeah, that was fun. Let's move on. So they just needed a little bit more. I think adding a complex, well not complex, but a nice surrounding story to this game would have made a big, big difference. Now with all this in mind, I have to give you guys a fair score on this game. It's not a horrible game. There's not a lot of flying, fighting World War II games out there anymore. At one time the market was saturated with them. But at this point, there's not a whole lot out there. So I'm taking this all into account in my mind, and I'm like, gosh, you know, this game just left me kind of like, you know when you eat something and you're like, that was missing a little something. Needed more salt, needed some pepper, needed some other ingredient. That's kind of what Flying Tigers Over China felt like to me. Shadows Over China felt like to me. It just missed a little something. But that little something carries throughout the game, and it makes it so it's just not the best flying game out there. But with that being said, Flying Tigers, Shadows Over China, you get a 6 out of 10. If you love aviation games, if you love airplane games, if you love flying games, if you love dogfights and World War II and battles and all that kind of stuff, you will likely like this game. I have beaten it and I like it a lot, but I have to warn you and be honest with you guys, so this is me doing that. 6 out of 10, I just couldn't justify going any higher on it. It's a great game, still check it out. If you love flying games, like I said, you're going to love this game. Anyways guys, this has been another episode of Mumbles. I want to thank you all so much for joining me. Please smack that subscribe button, smack the like button, smack all those buttons, and I will see you guys all in the next video. Bye-bye everyone, take care.